Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here for these important conversations. We're talking about the art of returning to love, how to show fear and stress the exit and heal. And it's such an important conversation at especially at this time in human history, in the collective consciousness. So I'm working from the PDF. So I'm on page 30, and it's the part where we're going to be talking about fear versus love. And you can grab a free copy of the PDF, or you can, if you don't like to read off PDFs, I understand, you can grab a copy on Amazon. The links are in the description box with this video. But let's just jump in and talk about this. It's not even an idea. It's a principle of life is probably the best way to say it. That if we have love and we have fear, it's probably fair to say that fear is more dominant in most of our minds than is love. And the whole point is to tip the scales in favor of love. And that's a journey. I mean, that's a practice. It's a breath by breath choice, if you will. But here's the thing to know. Love would never dream of fighting against fear. And why might that be? Well, it's because love knows that love is all there is, that it is all there is. And fear is simply a disconnected human mind from that love, right? So we have love is all there is, and then the mind kind of flails out, if you will, and operates as if it's separate from the source of life, which is the frequency, the vibration of love, and it pretends that it can handle everything on its own, and it's a mistake. This is the meaning of sin, if you will, is simply a mistake, and this is the mistake. This is the core root mistake that a human being makes. If we only focused on tending to bringing this part of ourselves back, bringing it back in every, crack and crevice of our life, with every subject, because we've strewn fear into every aspects of our life, into all the aspects of our life. It's a mirage, right? Like, you remember when we would drive on the roads in a hot summer day and the road was long and you could see like this mirage ahead? This is what the mind, the disconnected human mind does, is it sets up this mirage, this perspective, or this projection is probably the best word, that this is the real life, and it's not, right? So we have to keep, the practice is to keep coming back and having love from our place of connection, which we talked about last time. From the place of connection, this higher intelligent part of ourselves can help us understand what's really true in this given moment. Our disconnected mind can't do that, right? So it's simply an error in judgment. It's a forgivable error in judgment. So forgiveness does play a part in this. That's not going to be what we talk about today, but just know that this is part of the recipe, so to speak, of returning to love. It's easily repairable. All of this is easily repairable. Nobody is beyond repair. Nobody is broken or unfixable beyond repair. Everything is fixable and repairable. And so I'll stop there. Here's the thing that happens is love just simply awaits our return. Love just kind of hangs out, because that's everything, every particle of life anyway, and knows that eventually this human mind and this human mind and this human and my human mind and your human mind will go, oh, there's something here. There's something to it. Let me keep turning toward it. Let me try to remember as many times as I can today to turn toward it and come to it, connect to it, and have it show me what is real and true about this particular moment that I'm breathing in right now, right? Love knows her worth. She's not sitting here going, oh, what did I do wrong? If only I could have done this something different. No, that is not how it goes. This part of us has a regal dignity of knowing, if you will. Her worth is unassailable. I say her because, you could say him, his or her, it doesn't matter, but I'm just going to say that word her, because it comes from that, the divine love part of us comes from the if there's two faces of the source of all life, there's a masculine and a feminine face. And the masculine face is the power of light, the power of activity and right action and divine will. And the feminine face is the aspect of nurturance and love. And it's our matter, right? Like this is the part of the source of life that extends itself into matter. And that's every part of our flesh being. Way more of us is non-physical, but this physical part of us is the extension of divine love into matter. So that's why I'm saying her, because this part of matter is like the feminine face of the source of life, if you will. And we hear these in marriage vows, that love is patient and love is kind. And so there's no reason for anything but. It's just that we have this incredible habit of forgetting that this is true, right? And we operate in sort of contrast to that, if you will. So she's always ready to partner with our human mind. She's all about cooperation. Fear and our human mind is all about competition, and love is all about cooperation, right? So fear is always full of discord and resistance and rebellion and that competition I just mentioned. And believe it or not, war. So if we want peace to replace war on the planet, we each have to do the work of replacing the warring parts of ourselves with peace inside. This is the meaning of healing. This is the purpose of returning to love, so that as more and more of us are accessing peace, no matter what is happening at the level of chaos and hard things to see in world happenings, if we come back to that center of peace, and the mind would have us believe that how can we possibly indulge in peace when these things are happening on the planet? But actually, the opposite is true. How could we not access the peace within so that we have a cup of peace to extend to the collective and give them access to peace, every other one of our brothers and sisters, the humanity, right? The whole of humanity. So it's kind of an what's that word? Like it's an oxymoron to the mind, where it can't possibly imagine taking the time to come to a center of peace when there is so much warring energy, when there's so much tug of war going on outside. But here's the thing. None of us want to live with this tug of war energy on the inside. It is exhausting. That resistance is so, it's so fatiguing. It takes up all of our energy. It steals our creative life force. It steals our healing capacity, right? Like when we free this energy up, the body has energy. It has the energy that is the energy of the bodies. It's like it belongs to the matter, right, of our higher self. We kind of co-opt it for this fear dance that we do, right? So fear pushes against, and it fights, and it condemns everything to make itself feel like it's enough, to make itself feel like it's this energy. I mean, it's kind of a crazy deal if you think about it. It does all this stuff that I just mentioned in order for this part of ourselves to make it feel like it's worthy enough to be like this, when all it has to do is go, oh, I already am this, if you will. So there's no amount of fear, there's no amount of resistance that fear insists on shackling each of us with that will ever have an outcome of love, right? We cannot be shackled in fear and expect for there to be an outcome of peace or love in ourselves, in our communities, and in the world at large. It defies the law of life. You might want to, I'm on page 31, the bottom of page 31 in the PDF. You might want to read that sentence again. There's no amount of resistance that fear insists on shackling us with that will ever have an outcome of love, because it defies the law of life. So as human beings, in every given moment, we have a choice. I like to call it a choice point. And the choice point, if we're at the crossroads, is either fear or love. And the training initially is to just recognize that there's a choice point in a nanosecond, in a split second. And then to practice going, no, I'm not going to go down this path. I'm going to see what this path will give me. And I will guarantee you that every time you choose this path, what you get will be good. And pretty much every time you choose this path, what you get will be more resistance, more stress, more anxiety, more tension, more contraction, less access to peace. There is no peace on this path, right? So on page 32, I think it is, or maybe it is page 31, it doesn't matter, you'll find it, that general area, is that there is a list of fear and its contrasting love energy, if you will. So the reason I put this in the book is because fear is literally inverted faith. I mean, and when I say the word faith, I'm not necessarily talking about religious faith, although it does exist in religion. I'm talking about faith in life. I'm talking about what will it take for me to cultivate faith that love is stronger than fear, that I can trust love, that I can turn to love in any given situation in my life, internally, in terms of an emotional thing, or externally, in terms of what's happening in my immediate world or in the greater extension of the world. What will it take for me to trust? What will it take for me to have faith that love actually has my back, has all of our backs? And so, for example, if I start on this list, like judgment is a big one for human beings, and there's a whole thing in the Sacred Health Academy about judgment and what to do with it and how to work with it in any given moment. The opposite of judgment, or the energy that love is asking of us when we notice we're in judgment, is acceptance. Now, the human mind will say, well, there's no way I'm going to accept this horrific thing, or this part of myself that I absolutely despise, right? But that's the point. The bridge is acceptance. It's just, some might call this surrender. It's a moment where you go, okay, I'm just going to accept that this is happening so that I can walk myself over this bridge of transformation into the arms of divine love and have a greater understanding about what this actually means for me right now, right? It's unless you've done this, it sounds fantastical and it sounds like, yeah, right. But I'm telling you, it's a thing. And, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, but to just give it a try. And trust that in the beginning, it will be clunky. You might trip over your own feet initially. It's wobbly. It's uncertain. It's uncomfortable because it's not familiar. But if you know that love has your back, and you know that you're being pulled forth into the vortex of love, if you will, by just your simple willingness to consider that there's something here for you, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So back to the list. Fear loves to make meaning out of everything. And what if we decided to, instead of trying to always figure out the meaning, why is this happening? What does this mean? That kind of way that our mind is constantly churning about, right? I mean, it's just like, it ends up being comical at some point, because it's like a cat chasing its tail, right? Like if all a cat ever did from the moment it was born till the minute it died was chase its tail, anyone would look upon that and think that is crazy, right? Like that's ridiculous. Like what, the cat's got to eat, the cat's got to, whatever, sleep, all the things. But this is what our mind does to us, right? Until we become a bit more of a, I said this to someone the other day. I've used this analogy for myself. It's like, I need to be a good parent to myself. So if I have this child who's acting out in fear, that's part of me, and that fear is coming from any number of reasons: past experiences, beliefs I've gathered along the way, cultural programming, trauma, like all those kinds of things are what inform a child, so to speak. Well, as a good parent, I would not be standing on the curb with a child next to me and let that child run out in the street with cars I know coming, from either side, that is an insane way of parenting a child, right? Like you would grab the child's arm and you would tell the child, no, no, that is not how we do this, right? And you would lovingly explain and teach the child, right? So this is the same idea when parts of me want to just go down the rabbit hole of fear, I kind of grab my arm. I mean, this is all metaphorical, but it will give you the idea. And I just say, hey, we're not going to run in the street. That there's nothing good there. There's harm in that choice. Let's see what else we have here, right? Let's take a walk on the sidewalk to the park, right? Let's go play on the swings, whatever. I mean, you can make this up any way you want, but that is calling forth blessings, so to speak, rather than meaning from your higher self. And we get to request those. And believe me, when I finally figured out that my work is to ask and call forth and summon and request blessings for everything rather than meaning, it was kind of a game changer. So I invite you to do the same, and I use light. I don't know, it just gives me it gives me the sense that I'm working with something. So I've trained myself to see light. I train myself to offer light to anything that is happening in my world that gets my attention. I figure if it's getting my attention, it needs my blessing. It needs light. And light to me carries the blessing, right? So sometimes it'll just be a gift of light. Sometimes it'll be something specific that is a blessing that I ask light to carry into the situation, whether it's another person, an emotion I'm experiencing. And this isn't to run away from the emotions I'm having. It's to add blessings and love to it so that I can find my way through it. That's all that healing is walking through the things that are kind of anchors to us and releasing them back to love. This is what it means to return to love. So I could go on about this. Let me just do one more. Fear is all about the matrix. So, I'm one of those people who love the matrix. It was just such a perfect metaphor for life. The matrix being the illusion, really, the aspects that of all the projections that humanity individually and collectively have created to pretend that this is the way life is when it's not, right? But what I've turned the matrix into in my own mind is a game board, right? It's like a treasure hunt or a what are those like a maze, where you put rats in, they try to find the cheese. It's like a maze where, I get it. The game, the purpose, the point of incarnating into a life is to find the treasure that is love. And when we do that, when we kind of find our way and find ourselves upon love, then we realize the whole game board is love. The entire maze, all the walls just sort of dissolve and everything becomes particles and waves of love. And then the game is for the rest of our life is to remember that in the face of everything that is not love, right? So that we can continually be gifting the things that we see that don't appear to be love with love, right? So please, I have this page printed out, this fear, love. It's 2 columns. Under fear is, under the column of fear are all the things that the mind will throw out as fear bombs. And then there's the opposite column, which is love, and they correlate, right? So if I'm feeling pain, what I'm looking for is flow. If I'm feeling doubt, what I'm looking for is trust. If I'm feeling, wrong, I'm wrong thinking, right? I'm looking for the correct way of thinking about this. We're on a planet of contrast, so there's always going to be a contrast. So let me leave you with the idea that if you're feeling stress, on the very other side of that coin, right? So it's not that far, because a coin has its one side and then it has its other. So it's not that far from stress, ease. We just have to turn our awareness to that other side of the coin. So I would invite you, when you're feeling tension or stress, to connect with your higher self. You've been learning how to do that in our time together in the book. and be asked to be shown how can I be more gentle, soft, and at ease in this moment regarding this situation. And the more you do that, the more you realize that it actually works. It works brilliantly, and it's actually the only thing that works for circumstances such as balled up fear that turn into stress, anxiety, and tension. So, thank you for our time together. If we've not met, I'm Laurie Morse, a 30-year practitioner of Chinese medicine and the director of the Sacred Health Academy, which is an online journey for women to walk themselves into their sacred health. Usually women come into this journey because they've tried everything, and while some things work, there's still there's just this knowing in her heart that there's more there, and it does require this cultivating of a relationship with her sacred self, because honestly, we all want to live with a calm mind, energy in our body, and peace in our hearts. So on that happy note, I hope you have a lovely week, and I look forward to having you join me next week if it's possible. Okay.